about the ways you're getting older. You sit around and realize your heart is colder. There'll come a time you'll think your youth is almost over. Where did it go? You'll never know, so you'll just wonder. Did you ever want to turn the hands of time back to your childhood? Back to the time you had it made, you had it so good. What would it take to see mistakes before they happen? What would you do with all the choices that you made then? It's just a matter of time, it'll all be over. It's just a matter of time, better think about it. It's just a matter of time, you know you're getting older. It's just a matter of time. You sit around, you're all alone, the party's over.
Hey, Matt. hey, welcome to
Joe.
Hey, listen, welcome to Twin Speak, Christian music and other stuff. Of course, I'm Joe Prainito. Now we're trying this whole thing,
Of course.
right? Of course. And here's the beautiful part, Matt. I don't know if you noticed, but just off to the other side, there's another person next to you. Looks kind of like you. At least he's got a hat that's very similar to yours.
Yeah, I
something
actually I do. It's those that understand good music.
Yeah, it has to do with food. I don't know. So, welcome, Lonnie Chapin.
Not have to do
Something-
with food.
Food
That just
fighters.
says you must be eating a lot of corn out there in Iowa.
Nice call.
I've been in a lot of corn fights. So,
I know you
anyways, we're welcoming Lonnie Chapin with us today. What's up, Lonnie? How you doing?
Good, fellas. How are you, Matt? How are you, Joe?
Man, incredible,
Awesome.
and stoked to have you on the podcast. Of course, you're from the worldwide known iconic Christian band Petra. Also with Tait, jumping in with Michael Tait for a season there too for several albums, right?
Yeah,
and
two
then
albums.
two albums, and then
Yep.
Grammy award winning.
Yes, sir.
Is that
I know.
good night, man? What have I been doing with my life?
You know
and
what?
then
I can answer that for you.
I don't want you to, Matt. I just want
Oh,
you
I
to.
want
I
to
can-
hear this.
I-
I want to hear it, Matt. Come on. What's Joe been doing with his life the last 20 years?
Well, he gave up music because he wasn't good enough. So that he went to Nashville to make it big, and he came back.
Oh, sorry, Matt. It looks like you're just cussing a lot. I have to bleep you out. And a bunch of stuff you shouldn't be saying.
Well, it's actually, I'm not cursing. I'm talking about the stuff that you used to do off the streets. And so, yeah, just naturally, it just
Yeah.
bleeps it out because nobody wants to know that.
Yeah.
It's bad
So-
memories.
So listen,
I love it.
past couple episodes, Matt, and Lonnie, just stand by because we've been trying to figure out. I've been introducing the show, sounding a little like what would you describe it as, Matt?
Well, you've been doing it more Sleepless in Seattle. Like it's 11 p.m. episode of Hello, everybody. Welcome
Yeah.
to Twin Speak. And that
So
can
here's-
mean something completely different.
Nice.
It could. So
You shouldn't say it that way.
So we've been working on it, and I've been, trying to get my voice a little bit higher to sound a little more like yours. But I found the perfect intro music for this, and I just want to see if you think that this would be
Oh.
good to come in. So,
I
anyways,
don't know what's coming.
all right.
This is going to be bad.
No, it's not. No, I searched high and low because we go on air, right? Like we're on, and I'm like, what song would work for that? Well, here I
Shoot.
found this.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Twin Speak, Christian music and other stuff.
No,
We're joining you right where you are in your... What do you think? I don't know.
your voice isn't low enough.
Hello.
Come on, Matt.
Breathy. Listen to a lot of these episodes.
Let's get it on. Okay.
That's
No.
the other stuff.
That's...
That's the other stuff. Yeah.
Now that's...
Yeah, that's the other stuff.
Let's get it on.
Christian music
I like
and other stuff. We need
That's it.
quotations. Like, what could this actually mean?
Yeah. I think I'd rather talk about that
Yeah.
than my Grammy Awards. dude. I'll tell you that right.
Okay, you start.
Oh, you want me to start? I'll start.
No, never mind. Maybe we don't want to hear all that. I don't know. That's the other stuff. That is the other stuff, though.
That is the other stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
that could be a lot
yeah.
of fun.
Oh, let me tell you, I got stories about Louis Weaver and John Schlitt. Let me tell you right now.
Oh,
See?
okay. We got to get
That
there.
sounds like fun.
So let's go back in time. You know, Lonnie, I have to drop this because I first met you, and I think it was Bethel Church. Was that the name of the church?
Yeah.
And I first met you, and it's funny, we were joined together by a guy named Hector Bellardo, and he was like, he kept telling me, he's like, Joe, you're gonna love this guy. Like, there's this guy that he just reminds me a lot of you, and you both play bass and stuff. So we meet at church one Sunday, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? I'm Joe, and you're like, I'm Lonnie, and I'm like, okay, cool. And we sit down and have church, and I see you again, you know, next week or so. Hey, what's going on, Lonnie? What's up? We give each other a hug, go through church. I'll be gone, and then you'll be gone, and then we'll end up in church together. And I remember one time you were gone and I was gone, and I asked you a question. I'm like, oh, dude, I haven't seen you around in a bit. Where you been? He's like, oh, you know, I was on tour and stuff like that. Dude, I had no idea what band you were even in. So I said, what band are you in? And you're like, oh, I'm in Petra. I'm like, Petra? Like, that's how you're supposed to lead the introduction. My name is Lonnie Chapin. I play bass in Petra.
You
Yeah.
should just know when you said that, Joe probably peed a little.
They-
He was just like,
I still do. I still do.
you know.
Because here's the thing, because you
That's
know, and
funny.
then the last time I saw you was at GMA. You guys went walking down a corridor, and it's like the Red Sea. You know, it was crazy. Everybody split. No, I'm serious. Everybody split, and people started cheering. Just all of everybody at Gospel Music Association just started cheering, and that was the last time I saw you. You ran over, gave me a hug, and that was the last I saw of you. But as far as I knew, I was in a band called Redline. Signed, it was Dino Elefante who actually brought us out from California to Nashville to be on Pamplin Records. We ended up signing with Freedom Records, but Matt, I know you're trying to get something ready there for you.
Oh no, my
I'm surprised.
Keep
I'm
going.
impressed. I'm impressed. You're holding back.
I am holding back.
But I thought you were just. I was like, oh, he's a bass player like me, just trying to make it.
Yeah.
Nope. Yes, but no, not in the same level at all, right?
So,
Well, and
dude,
Joe was just he would call me because he didn't have cell phones back then. So he would just call me and say, "Hey," and you know, and I went to his church once, and I saw people like Michael Tait sitting behind us, like playing around with something while the sermon's going on. Just look on the pews. Carmen walks in, and he's like, "Is there revival in the land yet?" You know,
exactly.
like,
Oh yeah,
and then-
Satan bite the dust.
Satan in the dust. He's
Let's
just
go.
exactly.
Let's go, dude.
But then
Car-
Joe
yeah.
would call me though and be like, "You're not going to believe who I just met." You know, and he'd name all these people. And he's like, "I just met Lonnie from Petra." And I was like, "What?"
That's funny.
I was like, "That like I mean." So he would always call me, and I was just this jealous guy because I'm like, "Okay, I'm in L.A. working for an airline, not doing anything with my life." Little did I know Joe wasn't either. But but now Joe, every once in a while, because he was in Nashville, he's always like, you know, just name dropping.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah. But
so that's
Yeah.
right there.
That's from
But dude, that's what happens in Nashville though when you go to church. It's
Yeah.
like because there's a church on every street corner in Nashville. Dude, it's the Bible Belt, man. So it's like, and then everybody goes to church in the South.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
crazy, dude. Everybody goes to church. It doesn't matter what you do, who you are, dude. It doesn't matter. But everybody goes to church on Sunday, and then you run into like somebody that you listened to growing up as a kid. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, crazy. I remember, one of my first times going to Bethel actually and running into Amy Grant, and I
Jeez.
lost my mind.
yeah,
Right? Because I was like, oh my God, dude, I grew up. This is my father's eyes
yeah.
right here. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Is there angels watching over me?
Bro. Oh yeah, dude. And so I was like all freaked out, but I was like, oh, I got to go up and say hi. I mean,
Yeah. You got to
shoot,
wise up.
dude.
Yeah.
So I walk out of church and she's sitting on the curb by herself. So, dude, I just roll up with my little cup of coffee and I sit down right next to her. And she turns and looks at me, you know, a bit awkward, if you will.
I'd say.
And I just said, "Hey, I'm Lonnie," you know, and she goes, "Well, hi, I'm Amy." I'm like, "Well, it's nice to meet you. I know exactly who you are." You know, and so I didn't even mention the Petra thing. I thought about it. I was like, "Oh man, how can I work this in there?"
Yeah.
So she doesn't think that I'm some nut job, just
Right.
wanting to get an autograph or a picture. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Exactly.
So, but yeah, first time one of the first times I was at Bethel even was meeting Amy Grant.
Yeah.
That's
It was crazy.
crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and this was at the time too that her and Gary were going through this crazy split,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and the Christian world was freaking out.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
because she was like the female Christian singer darling,
Yeah.
and oh yeah, there's no way that she's going through a divorce. No way.
Yep.
She's too close to God.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Yeah.
totally.
It had that feel, dude, around it.
Mhm.
But man, when I sat there and talked with her for probably about 15 minutes or so, dude, I could tell how broken
Yeah.
she
Oh.
was, dude, just
Yeah.
because of what she was going through. And I had no idea, dude.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
had no idea what her and Gary were going through at that point in time, But
Mhm.
so it was that was pretty epic for sure.
Yeah.
Seeing
And
seeing that and seeing what she was
Well,
going through and just feeling that energy from her that was
Mm.
complete like destruction.
Yeah.
It was wild, dude.
Well, and
Yeah.
and for the most part, I mean, artists, you're on a stage, so you're performing. You're performing anywhere you go. I mean, essentially, you don't know who's watching you. But when you get to a place of just being real,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, raw emotion, people. And I don't know. I was watching that movie. Joe and I watched that together, Jesus Music, where she talked about that. Like,
Yeah.
she could do no right in the Christian eyes,
Nope.
and the world accepted her more than the Christian church did when
Yeah.
she went through everything. Like,
Yeah.
they embraced
Which is
her. And it was
Matt, which is
crazy.
disgusting, dude. It's completely
Yeah.
backwards of how it should be in the first place. And I'm a
Yeah.
preacher's kid, dude. So
Yeah.
trust
Mhm.
me, I know all about that and
Yeah.
looking for grace in Christian people in my dad's church and not
Mm.
finding it as a preacher's kid, dude. That was
Yeah.
pretty tough on me, man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like a lot of my preacher's kid friends, it was, dude, that was pretty sucky, dude. When the one thing that I
Yeah.
thought was holding everything together as far as what people were preaching themselves and
Mhm.
not finding
Yeah.
that. But lucky for me, dude, I found that in my mom and dad. I
Yeah.
found I found that grace, that love, that peace that Jesus talks about, and but I found that in my mom and dad. I didn't find it
Mhm.
in typical Christian society in church.
Yeah.
Didn't find it,
Right.
dude. Not
Mhm.
one
Yeah.
bit. But I found it in my mom and dad, dude. And
That's cool.
that was an amazing
Yeah.
thing as a kid, where people were always clawing at my dad for attention,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and he would still find time for his boys,
Yeah.
and he would still love on his boys, and that's what saved Chad and myself.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I think really what set us up for a very successful life is a mom and a dad that love their boys regardless of anything else going on,
Yeah.
and we were their priority,
Yeah.
especially as
Man.
preachers' kids, dude.
Oh no.
We were their priority, and we knew that right from the get-go, man. So that was a beautiful, beautiful thing for us.
Yeah, and that sets you up also just for your own relationship with God, and knowing that your parents can show you that kind of love and that kind of grace.
Yep.
That's supposed to be mirroring exactly who God is to us. So I
Yeah.
mean, if we find ourselves broken in church and broken with our families, it's very difficult to be able to connect those lines. Not that it can't be done, but yeah, then my brother and I, the same thing. We grew up in church. My father was an evangelist, mom worship leader. But
Yep.
we had a church split where the
Mm.
church wasn't there for us at all. I mean, we showed
Yeah.
up riding our
They told us
bikes
to
to
leave.
church. Yeah, and they're like, "What are you guys doing here?" They wouldn't even hand us a bulletin.
Mm.
And 12,
Yeah.
13 years old, and we had to make a decision. Okay, you know what? Regardless of what happens, we're going to be Christians. We're going to live
Yeah.
our lives for Christ, and it helped having each other. Now you mentioned your brother Chad. Also, he's a drummer, I believe. Is that right?
That's correct, dude. One of the
Oh,
most badass drummers on the planet, dude.
is
That
that
guy's
right?
another level, dude.
Now
Chad,
Did
I've
you
heard
play
some of
together
his.
yeah, you
growing
bet,
up?
dude. Yeah, well, we started Tate. We started Tate together with Michael Tait from DC
Oh,
Talk.
okay.
So I was coming off the road with Petra. DC Talk was telling everybody that they were taking a break, and my brother Chad was living with Mike. They were
Mm.
roommates, dude, at Mike's place
Oh,
in Brentwood, Tennessee, dude. And when I would come off the road with Petra and Michael would come off the road with DC Talk, the three of us would hang. The three of us had Harley Davidsons, dude, so we'd go riding all the time every time we'd come off the road. So, dude, it was amazing, and we started just writing. The three of us just started writing music together, And so when it came time, man, it was pretty easy for us to slip into this whole thing called Tate. And it was
Yeah.
just, it was beautiful, dude. It was an amazing thing. And then Chad and I got to play together, for the first time in a big band because we signed a
Yeah.
2-record deal with Sony
Yeah.
at that time. And bro, it was just epic.
That's
So there's just
incredible.
something about family, man. I'll tell you what,
Oh,
dude.
yeah.
It's a beautiful thing when a rhythm section who are brothers gets together
True.
and put some music to tape, bro.
Yep.
That's just another level, bro. That you just it's a hard thing to find outside of that, you
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah.
that was a beautiful thing, dude. So
Especially being that
that's
rhythm
cool.
section. Yeah.
yeah,
We have similarities just because I played guitar and Joe played bass, and so we'd write songs. I mean, essentially, when our family and the church split and family split, it was like, well, we have the two of us and we have music, like,
Love it.
and we have God. Like
Yeah.
those together combined is really what led us through. Is okay, well, let's listen to good music, let's write good music, and then you wind up just playing together, and you're like, okay, now I'm just having fun.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
just fun doing it,
Yeah.
and then putting music to tape. Like I want you to hear a little bit of this song Joe wrote. Just
Come on.
This is years ago.
Stupid.
We don't know what this song's about.
I have no clue. Can you
Wait,
just stop,
Was that Joe or is that the Beatles?
dude?
I,
Sorry,
on
I couldn't resist.
Matt,
It's right there.
somebody was on a crazy acid trip, and I don't know if that was Joe or the
Yeah.
Beatles, but that was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
see, good. We heard it here. It was amazing.
It's terrible.
We
It's
play it
absolutely
later.
terrible.
Sorry, Joe. I can't help it. But, you
Just
know,
put it out, Joe.
yeah.
Just put it out. Who cares, man? It's
We're
it's
gonna
all
put it on
about
speed
content.
today.
You
That's
didn't
right.
even
Joe.
get to. You didn't even get to the. Oh, listen, dude. He plays this almost every time we're on the air. So you understand that
It's in the system. It's in the system.
It's in
I
the
can't
system.
help it. It's just there. But no, to the point though, yeah, you have music, and so I'd love to ask, like, so
Yes.
what age did you start playing bass? Like, how
Yeah,
did
I
this
was-
come about? Like, why the bass and why not the clarinet?
Yeah, no, exactly. Well, I started playing my dad started getting me into piano, and then when I was in middle school, it was trumpet. But dude,
Yep.
and then when I was playing the piano, dude, and trying to learn that, I just wanted to get up and run around, and I couldn't do that with the piano strapped onto me. You know what I'm saying? Unless it was a
Yeah.
keytar, and that was stupid.
Yeah.
So,
Little outdated.
So-
little outdated.
but and then later on, I would play with John Lowry, who played a keytar.
Oh,
in
exactly.
Petra.
Exactly.
I'm like, sorry for all those bad things I said about the
Sorry,
keytar.
John.
I love the guitar. My
Exactly.
favorite instrument.
So, dude, I had to man, I was like, I got to pick something, and Chad was like, yeah, and Chad was like, I was 12 at that point. Chad was 7, and so my dad had a really good friend that was a bass player. He was from Alaska, and man, dude, he was so good, and he would play in church, and I would watch him play in church, and he was just fantastic. So I saw that, and I was like, yeah, dude, I want to be like that guy. You know, and he was great on stage, dude. He wasn't your typical bass player. He didn't just stand there, even for like P&W stuff, at church.
Yep.
Dude, he
Yep.
was just like having the best time and just enjoyed playing music, because it was just
Yeah.
it was just something that was inside of him that had to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just watching that as a kid, I was just like, yeah, that's what I want to play. And then Chad, he was just like, man, I just want to beat on shit, dude. I just want to just go at it. He had more anger, I think, in him than than I did. So he would pull out mom's pots and pans from underneath the kitchen cabinet
Yep.
with her wooden spoons, and dude, he would just always just be beating on them as a little kid. And dude, from a boy, we just knew that Chad was going to play the drums, And so when it came that point when he was 7 and I was 12, Dad bought me a bass, this big old PV T40 bass with this PV amp that was just massive.
Yeah.
Both the bass was
Heavy.
bigger than I was, and the amp was about half the size of the garage that he had to clear out to get the bass amp in there. And then some of Chad's drums that he wanted to do, and so yeah, at that point it was just like I wanted to play bass, Chad wanted to play drums, and we had no idea what the heck we were doing, man. We didn't know what we were doing. But he would give us a cassette tape of the Gaithers, and he would put that in the exactly. Yeah. Foo Fighters Gaithers Tour 24. Yeah, Gaithers opened up for the Foo Fighters, actually.
That was good.
Great show.
Just as a joke. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Dave Grohl, just as a funny joke, so here's the Gaithers.
Yeah.
So, but dude, we would learn that. We would learn those songs, man. He's like, listen for what's going on with the bass, what the bass is doing. And Dad was just like, listen to what the drums are doing. It's the 2 and the 4 thing, dude, on the kick. Or on the snare, and the kick's doing the 1 and the 3. So listen to these things and let me kind of show you a little bit what's going on. And then he got Chad lessons just doing the snare at a music store and here in Bend. And so he just started like learning snare stuff, dude, rudiments and different things like that just on the snare. And I was just putting in Gaither vocal band, dude, and I was sneaking in like some Petra stuff as a kid because I came from a pretty conservative home. But everything was still based around music. Even at church, dude, we would do worship was like an hour long, and Dad would speak for like a half hour.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
That's
completely, so it was everything, even in church, was based around music and worship and those kind of things. So but he didn't like rock and roll music. So, dude, I was sneaking in Whiteheart and Res Band, Petra.
Yeah.
And some some of those artists, dude, that were just like, I was listening to at friends' homes and I was freaking out because it was like this rock and roll thing. So, dude, I had to, at a certain point, when I heard Van Halen for the first time at a friend's house, changed my life, right?
Yeah.
So this is 1994, and I was listening to this album with a buddy of mine who lived across the street, and if my mom and dad were to find out, I would completely go into hell, for that. So, dude, I was like, oh, I gotta hide this somehow, but this is changing my life right now. This music that Christian music can't pull. I was like, what in the world? So I would take my Amy Grant tapes, and on those cassette tapes, I don't know if you remember the tabs at the top of the tape.
Yep.
You can break them off.
If you literally put tape on it, you could record something on top of that tape.
Yeah.
I had a dual cassette tape recorder, in my bedroom. I would have AC/DC, dude, AC/DC, Van Halen, and Def Leppard, and I would record over my Amy Grant tapes, over my Bill Gaither vocal band tape, over Michael W. Smith, even on a tape. And so I would have that at my little Walkman, right? And so Mom and Dad would come into my bedroom and say, hey, who you listening to? And I would open up my Walkman and it would say Amy Grant. But actually it was Def Leppard, it was Van Halen, AC/DC, dude, and I was losing my mind, Joe.
So funny.
Dude, seriously, man, that is what you should have opened up your conversation with Amy Grant. When she was on the corner, you should have been like, I've recorded over your songs and your album so many times with Def Leppard. It's a pleasure to finally meet you.
Yeah.
Well, she would have punched me dead in the face.
While you're at your lowest, let me tell you what I've just done. Let me tell you how I grew up. I loved you, but I actually love Def Leppard more.
But Def Leppard a little bit more, bro.
Yeah. You changed my life, but only because thank you for putting Amy Grant so big on the cassette tape. Because the parents can see it from 8 feet away.
Right. Oh, but boys, don't get me wrong. This was not the mainstream Amy Grant album. Come on. You know what I'm saying?
That Heart in Motion.
Yeah. That wasn't allowed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No.
That wasn't allowed.
Yeah, El Shaddai.
That was the El Shaddai, My Father's Eyes. Dude, it was all that stuff, man. Other than that, when she went mainstream, oh, no, dude. It was just like, we got to burn that.
Yeah.
No baby. No baby. Yeah.
So, yeah, dude, but that's how I got into music, man, was doing that. And then that's how Dad taught me, was just listening to Christian albums. And the very first album I ever bought with my own money, bro, I was, 13? 13 years old, 14 years old, was Beat the System from Petra.
Yep.
Went down to
that's your very first album that you ever bought with your own money.
My own money, dude. I went down to the Christian bookstore here in Bend, Oregon, and, dude, I listened to it. They had the They had the recorder set up on the side so you can like test and listen to a couple songs, you know.
Yep.
Whatever. So I was just like, when I heard Beat the System, dude, I lost my mind. I was like, oh my god, yeah. So I pulled out my $5.
Yeah.
How much it was
Yeah.
back then,
What
dude?
it
I
was
know.
back then.
Like $5, dude. And I was like, let's go, man. Here's my allowance.
If you bought 4, you usually got a free one because they had stickers on the front.
You bet,
You'd
dude.
save those stickers and be like, oh,
All day.
yep, exactly.
You
So,
bet,
So,
man.
so
Yeah.
Beat the System was the second album that we bought with our own money.
Yeah.
First one was Rust Half Metals, and then we went into Beat the System. We were like that song, and then you went into It Is Finished, and
I know.
thank goodness that clean. That album was solid.
it was a
Straight
solid
through.
album. But
That
the
was
video
fantastic.
of Beat the System, that's where we saw it, like on Real Videos. TBN had this real
Yeah.
video show.
Yeah.
We saw the Beat the System video, and we're like, oh my gosh, look at them, like they're dancing in water, or they're like, it just looked so legit.
Yeah.
Like
was
it looked like a
amazing.
real music video. And so we're like, this is awesome music. And so yeah, that was our first, such a great album.
And that's crazy because Metals was my second album that I ever
Oh,
bought.
how
with my
funny.
own money. Because
We just
dude, I was
flip-flopped.
we flip flop because growing up too, like my dad had the Imperials. My dad loved the Imperials.
Yeah.
So I listened to the Trumpet of Jesus, that album with Russ Taff on it.
Yep.
You know,
Walls of
dude, I
Glass.
was doing like air banding stuff. Me and my brother, we would set up like in the living room as air. I had a tennis racket as my guitar.
Oh, yeah.
And Chad had mom's pots, and dad's like car washing like pan thing, you know. And dude, and we would do air banding stuff to that whole album to Metals, man. I mean that album too changed our life, and then we became Russ Taff fans. Or outside, I listened to the Trumpet of Jesus, where there was a couple songs on that album.
Yeah.
Dad
Yeah.
had the vinyl too, that we just tore that album apart, dude, because
Yeah.
we loved that.
Yeah.
And then when Russ went on his own outside of that, dude, we were like Russ Taff fans right from the get go, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
His voice.
Bro,
His
still
voice,
one of the best, dude.
Oh yeah. Like
Epic.
He's coming out with
his
another
smile.
album now.
Joe used to love
His
his
smile.
smile.
Now shut up, because you
What?
used to. Now let me tell you this: if
Lonnie's
you want
like,
to talk
"What?"
about Russ Taff, Russ had a certain smile, right? And Matt would
He
sit in his
did.
room, practicing the smile, so Matt could look exactly like Russ Taff.
I wanted to know, like, how do you get a cool smile? Like, he has a cool smile. I want a cool smile.
Yeah.
So I
yeah,
practice a smile.
I
Well,
get
your
it, dude.
smile, and
Yeah,
your smile sucks now, Matt. You should have practiced a whole lot more. That's a crappy smile.
Well,
But
Joe, you're
anyways,
still blurry. So, you know.
I know we
listen.
can't even tell what he's doing right now.
in production, am I really?
Yeah,
I see
just a
myself
little.
just fine. I see
That's
myself
okay.
just fine.
I'm glad you.
And-
I'm
and-
glad you do. That's good. You keep saying that, and your therapist said that. Like, just keep looking at yourself. You're fine. That's
Oh,
You're
fine.
good. You're all
My
good,
gosh,
Joe.
dude, that's fantastic.
So
So you-
Lonnie, let's
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Joe.
let's go from okay. So you're a Petra fan. You're a Russ Taff fan. You're in
Huge.
Bend, Oregon. What brings you to Nashville?
Well, it came to that point where my brother Chad and we looked at each other, you know, and we were like, dude, if we want to play Christian music, dude, it's got to be in Nashville. So
Yep.
my brother was working at a mill, like, you know, working the night shift at a mill here in Central Oregon. And I was playing with this little country band, this country cover band here. And we were doing rodeos and stuff like that, dude. So, dude, I went down, it was like 2:00 in the morning. I went and picked Chad up. And we went to this all-night pancake house in Bend, and we sat there, dude, and we're like, "What are we doing, man? I mean, we're just like, we can do this," and we're like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, but it's got to be in Nashville."
Mm.
So we opened up the calendar, and we were like, "All right, dude, right here, February 28th, 28, we're blowing out." This was 1996, dude,
Wow.
and yeah, and so I was just like, all right, buddy, let's do it. And this was like, yeah, this was right before Christmas. And so we were like, all right, dude, it's it, man. February 28th, we'll go get a Ryder truck and load our stuff up and head to Nashville and just see what happens. Because it's not going to happen in Little Bend, Oregon, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, dude, it came time, man. We rented a truck and we had, what was funny is we both had Harley Davidsons and we both had cars. But they were both pieces of shit, dude. Both of them were. But Chad had a nicer Harley than I did, and I had a nicer car. than he did.
Oh.
So I sold my Harley, Chad sold his car, and then all we had was bunk beds. So
Jeez.
we had a Harley Davidson in the back of a U-Haul truck, a Harley Davidson, bunk beds, towing my car.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, we wake up on February 28th, dude, 1996, and there's 3 feet of snow on the ground. It snowed like 3
Oh
feet.
no.
We were like, "Oh, are you kidding me, man?" So we had to go down to the tire place and get chains for the U-Haul.
Yeah.
But dude, we woke up that morning. We're like, "Dude, we're going. It doesn't matter,
Doesn't
man. Here
matter.
we go."
That's cool.
So
Yeah.
3 days later, we landed in Nashville, and we knew one guy, and I'd called him up, and he had an extra room in his apartment that he said we could stay, until we got jobs and those kind of things. And so, yeah,
Nice.
dude, the bunk beds were perfect. We had that extra room. Chad and I stacking them up, bro. And then we got there, and it was great, dude. And then we just started meeting people and going to different events and parties and those kind of things. And I went to a party one evening. I was there. I was in Nashville about 2 weeks at this point, I guess. And I met this kid. His name was Ron, and he was running merch for Whiteheart. And Whiteheart was another one of my favorite bands, dude.
Yeah.
That Freedom record,
Oh man.
Still
ruled
one of the
me.
best. Yeah.
Dude, absolutely. That Freedom record just changed my life, right?
Yeah.
Completely did, dude.
Yeah.
And Tommy Sims, bass player for that, he was just like
Yeah.
nasty.
Slapping
And
it.
dude,
Yeah.
when I heard that, dude, I was like, yeah, I know I'm supposed to play bass. You know what I'm saying? It was
Yep.
like when I heard Tommy
Yeah.
Sims, I was like, yeah, dude, that's the junk right there. I want to be like that fathead right there, man.
Yeah.
Let's go.
It's funny because it's Tommy Sims that really brought me into wanting to play bass myself. We had it was from the Don't Wait for the
Don't Wait for the
movie
Movie.
album.
Yeah.
And we had the video album. They used to come out with video albums and
Yeah.
on VHS.
I did
and-
too, dude.
Yeah. And I'm watching
That's
that.
the same
I was
thing,
like,
Joe.
oh my gosh, dude,
Well, he did a
he's
solo.
absolutely incredible. Yeah, he was
awesome.
Oh geez, he was incredible. So,
Yeah.
and then the next album was Freedom, and they went
Bro.
from here to here, like it was just another level.
Oh yeah.
And it
still is.
still sounds, fellas, to this day,
Yep.
that album still sounds sonically amazing, bro.
It does.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh man.
It's
Blows my
not
mind.
dated at all. That
No.
thing it's still completely relevant. I mean, it still is probably one of the best Christian albums out there.
Bro, no question. Of all time, dude.
Yeah.
Of any
Yeah.
album ever put out,
Yeah.
musically, sonically, dude,
Yeah.
that album still, dude, it's top
Yeah.
3 in the world still
Yeah.
to this day.
I think
Yeah.
it's their
Oh, yeah.
favorite. I was listening to an episode
is.
of Rick Florian, and, like a podcast, and he was saying like that's one of his, or maybe it was Mark Urschmel, but said one of their favorite albums that they've ever created. Like that one. After that, I mean, what was the other one? Powerhouse. It was
Powerhouse.
good. I
That was
love
a good album too.
It still didn't match Freedom, but
Right. No,
Yeah.
it didn't. It didn't, dude. They like set the bar way too high for themselves once they hit Freedom, man, at that point,
You got to climb the stairs. Just climb the stairs.
That's it. Yeah, so
Don't
bro,
pop
I
too
met
soon.
this kid. His name's Ron. He did all the merch for Whiteheart, and he was asking, so what are you doing in town? I'm like a bass player, trying to find a gig. I'm a preacher's kid, and just want to play Christian music, whatever. And so he's like, oh, that's cool, man. I work for Whiteheart, and I was like, dude, Whiteheart's like one of my favorites ever. Go through the stories, right, with Ron, and we became kind of fast friends right off the bat. He was just a really great kid, man. And
Yeah.
then 2 weeks later, 2 weeks after that, I come home back to our apartment, and on our answering machine is Billy Smiley. And he's like, hey,
What?
Lonnie, this is
What?
Billy Smiley from Whiteheart. I was talking with Ron. We're heading out on this tour with Petra, and it's the Salt Box Tour. It's Johnny Q. Public, Grandma Train, Whiteheart, and
wow.
Petra's headlining the whole thing. It's kind of a co-bill headline, Whiteheart, Petra. But we need a stage manager out on the road with us, man. We just lost one of our guys. Would you be interested? I talked with Ron. He said you were a really nice guy. So would you be interested? Call me back. Gave me his number. I was like, what? What just happened just now?
That's got to be crazy.
So I'm like, that's Billy Smiley. So I call him up immediately.
Yeah.
Call him up, and he answers the phone. And I'm like, yeah, Bill, this is Lonnie. Just returning your call. And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, hey, yeah, just been talking with Ron, blah, blah, blah. He's like, are you interested in the job? It pays $100 a week. I'm like, what? $100 a week? I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
Let's go, dude. Let's
It's 90
go.
Still probably
So
not
I
that
was,
much, but yeah, it's
yeah.
still.
So he's just like, all right, dude, like in 3 days, bro, pack your bags
Wow.
because we're blowing out for Dallas, Texas. Our first show is in Dallas. And yeah, we need a stage manager out on the road with us. There's one other guy. We need two of us, two of you guys out on the road. So I'm like, done. Heck yeah. So, dude, I packed up my stuff, dude, and I was on tour with Whiteheart for 2 months solid on this
Wow.
Saltbox
Holy
tour.
cow.
So, two
Man.
months solid. Great tour. Halfway through that tour, Ronnie Cates, the bass player for Petra, tells the boys in Petra, like, hey, after this tour is over, I'm done. And he'd been with the band for like 9 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
At this point.
incredible.
And so, but I just built a really rad relationship with the guys from Petra. Half the time, halfway through that tour, dude, half the time I was riding the Petra bus, half the time I was riding the Whiteheart bus, and just having a ball, right? The
Yeah.
guitar
Yeah.
player um, who took the place of Bob Hartman was from Portland.
Oh.
Okay.
And so I was just like, dude, what in the world? So, dude, him and I became fast friends because we were Northwest boys, right?
Yep.
We became
Yeah.
fast friends on that tour. So that tour finishes, and I didn't hear a thing, and I just kind of like dismissed it.
Mhm.
But then I get a call from John Schlitt, like probably 3 or 4 days after that tour was over, and he's like, "Lon, we just had the best time with you, and we would hear you play, like Whiteheart's, bass lines and different things like that while you were setting up all their stuff for this whole tour.
Mm.
And dude, we know you can play. And dude, we just love the human being that you are. So how about we get together? We've got 3 shows coming up in 2 weeks, and we don't have a bass
Wow.
player. Would you consider coming out and doing these 3 shows with
Mhm.
us, and let's just see how you do as far as playing our stuff, because we really dig you as a human being, but you could suck. You could just
Right.
stand there and look so stupid, like a dumbass, that
Right.
after these 3 shows, you're going to move on.
Yeah.
We
No,
want you gone.
We'll go our separate ways.
It's the managing the stage.
So be it. You know what I'm saying? But hey, we'll give it a good shot, and we'll get through these 3 shows. Right? So we did, dude. We had 2 weeks. That was about a week and a half later. We had 2 rehearsals, and in John's
Jeez.
basement. So we did the rehearsal and I kind of knew the set,
Yeah.
but they had
Yeah.
given me all the stuff, and I was listening to all of Ronnie's bass parts because I had a board tape of theirs through that whole tour that I was on.
Wow.
And so I would just listen to it, dude. It was 8 hours a day, man, for a week and a half.
Crazy.
Dude, I was just playing.
Wow.
So I have to ask, like, out of the set list that you were playing on those 3 days, like, what song was it that you're like, how in the world am I here? Like, I'm playing this song. Like, what
Yeah.
song is it that just like was like, what in the world?
Yeah.
What happened?
Dude,
I
it
should
was
be in bed.
Creed. Dude, it was Creed.
Creed?
Yes.
See, I could.
With
Man.
Totally.
Beyond Belief, that album, dude, was insane. Well, I
Yeah.
think I was 16 years old, man, 16, 17 years old, and they were playing over here in Oregon, and me and like 6 of my buddies, dude, we hopped in a van down by the river and then drove over to where they were playing, like 5 hours from Bend to see Beyond Belief tour, man,
Yeah.
And I was just a kid. I was 16, 17 years old watching that whole tour, and it was
Yeah.
just fantastic. But Creed was so
Yeah.
epic,
Yeah.
too, at that time, that, man, the whole thing, though, the whole experience from the very first show in Minnesota was crazy. So we had the 2 rehearsals. I felt pretty confident, but yet still I'm like, it's just a whole nother level when you finally get into that arena in front of 15,000 people.
No
How you're
joke.
going to actually react, because I'm just a punk preacher's kid, dude, from Bend,
Yeah.
Oregon, that have only played really in my dad's church in front of
Right.
600 people. You know what I'm saying?
And you sleep in a bunk bed.
And I sleep in a bunk
Right.
bed, dude, with my
Well, you're
brother.
So you're already used to it. At least getting on the bus is you're like, okay,
Yeah.
a bunk. I got this.
Yeah. So
I got a
yeah,
bunk.
I was used to that, dude. So that first show, Minnesota, we show up, and we're going through sound check, and I'm feeling pretty good. And in this arena in Minneapolis, and dude, we get out there. I get my ears on, getting ready for the first song, right? And there's pre-roll going. Crowd's
Yeah.
starting to the energy of the crowd is you could just hear. It's just like it's just getting intense
Jeez.
because the lights now are doing this. There's smoke
Yeah.
machines, and the whole place is just filled with smoke and fire. And I walk up on stage, dude, and I stand there and I look over, mistakenly, look over to my right, and I'm like, oh my God, dude, that's John Schlitt. Dude, right there. And I turn back a little bit more, like this, and I'm like, holy shit, dude, that's Louis Weaver. I'm like, oh my God, dude, what's going on right now? And I literally turned back to the crowd, and I hear in my ears like Louis click off the first song, right? And I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, dude. And my heart was just like pounding, dude. I was
Oh my
just
gosh.
hitting it like this, dude. And I was just like, oh my God. And then I had a coming to Jesus moment, dude, where I was like, dude, here's your time. This is what you've been working for.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
what you've been praying for
Yeah.
since you've been to Nashville, really your whole life, just saying, God, if this is where you want me to be, then you got to make it happen because I'm a moron at best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if this is where you want me to be, then you have to open the doors and you have to make it happen because
Yeah.
I can't do it in my stupidity.
Yeah.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
can't do it, And in my human frailty, dude, I'm just a freaking moron, man, right? So there's just, you have to make this happen or else it's
Yeah.
never going to happen. And so
Yeah.
that was my prayer, dude. As soon as I landed in Nashville, then let's just see what happens. So I had this coming to Jesus moment, dude. As soon as the lights came on and that first initial hit, it's like,
Yeah.
all right, here's your chance. This is what you've been working for since you were 12 years old in Dad's garage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jeez.
Since you started listening to
just all
Gaither Band,
Fast
this-
forward to that moment.
this god awful cassette tape of the Gaithers. Sorry, Bill. Love you, Bill. But dude, it's just like since I was in Dad's garage, just working on my chops, man, just over and over and over, and listening to that stuff, and then learning those bass lines, and just tuning my ear. Had this moment, dude, where I was just like, oh, okay, I can either really just now show up.
Yeah.
This is where I'm supposed to be at this moment in time. I've been given this opportunity. What am I going to do with it? Or I could just wet the bed. It's one of the
Right.
two.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yep.
Yep.
I got a choice here.
Yeah.
And so I made that choice, dude, and I just went off. Those 3 shows, dude. It was Minneapolis, Minnesota. It was Cincinnati, Ohio, and then Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
Wow.
And that was those 3. And at the end of that last show in Dallas, John brought the whole crew. We had 12 crew guys on tour with us. Brought all the crew guys onto the band bus, and they introduced me as the bass player for Petra, the new bass player for Petra.
Wow.
Wow.
So was there a
show.
conversation that happened before that, or was it just this is? And so that was you just found out right there after those 3 shows on the bus
Dude.
with everybody else.
Dropped a chalupa in my pants.
Totally.
Right there, dude. I was like, what?
What?
I'm looking around. Who's the bass player? Like, look around.
So
Is
so
something
you had
crazy
these-
right now?
Yeah.
Was this was the tail end then of this tour right here?
Yeah, it was the tail end of this tour, and it was
Okay.
like the last 3 shows, basically,
Okay.
that because they had a bunch of time off, and so they had a couple weeks off in the middle of that whole tour, and so Ronnie was out, and that last 3 days, I stepped in, and then that's when they introduced me as the bass player for Petra.
And
What
those are
tour
some
was
pretty-
that? Was that the?
Yeah.
It was the No Doubt. It was the back end of the No Doubt tour.
Okay.
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 Yeah.
So it's funny is I went to a No Doubt concert. Not actually No Doubt, Gwen Stefani.
I don't know.
I'm just a girl.
You might have.
right?
You might have.
Wrong. I didn't. I promise. They're pretty awesome though. But no, I actually saw Petra play from No Doubt in, gosh, it was Six Flags Magic Mountain in California,
I bet.
and I'm not sure. And I think that must have been kind of towards that tail end. I think they were opening for Newsboys or something there, or something like that. But
Yeah.
but I knew, like, I was looking at Ronnie Cates and I'm watching some new guys show up, and I'm like, I think his time's going to kind of come to an end. The charisma that you saw in Beyond Belief, prior to that, even in On Fire, it seemed like that was kind of phasing out just a little bit, and we all come to the end of seasons in our life, right? I mean, whatever it might be music, it might be a band, it might be a
Right.
job, whatever it is, and
Right.
but that's crazy because I think right after No Doubt was that when Petra Praise 2 came out.
Yeah, because that was my first record. That was
Yes.
my first album with them because
Okay.
it was right after that whole No Doubt thing. Then, and it wasn't much longer after I got in with the band that John and Dino and also Bob Hartman, they were putting together this whole Petra Praise 2 thing and wanted to do that. And so, so I played bass on that was my first album with them
Okay.
was Petra Praise 2, man.
It's the
Did
stupidest
you
thing.
listen to Petra Praise, the first one, when
Oh,
it
yeah.
came out? Oh yeah.
Oh, you bet, dude. Loved it.
So when you going into the studio, we're like, okay, there's a lot of pressure. This is another one of those moments like, there's Louis Waver.
Yeah.
And now I'm in the studio recording Petra Praise 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
Dude, because I'd never met Bob yet. I hadn't met Bob Hartman yet.
oh,
So I was just like, oh, good Lord. I'm like, yeah, dude, this is like in Christian music. This was the god of rock
yeah.
Oh,
in
for
Christian
sure.
music. And then John and Dino Elefante, who are producers, they produced all the Petra records from even way back, dude.
Yep.
And I loved those guys, man. They just
Yeah.
so and so hanging out with them, then for the first time I was so starstruck with John and Dino Elefante.
Yeah.
And I just became fast friends with them. And yeah, dude, so laying down bass tracks, with at that level, with guys at that level, at the Sound Kitchen in Nashville, in that studio. First time I'd been in a studio like that,
Oh,
can
for
imagine.
sure.
I'm just like, yeah, dude, I'm just like this punk kid. I'm freaking 26 years old. I'm like, what am I doing here?
Yeah.
And like, am I gonna suck?
Yeah.
And like laying these tracks down now.
Yeah.
They all
Yeah.
know I can play live.
They're all
and
watching.
then my
Yeah.
energy level, live is a whole nother level.
Yeah.
But dude, can I really pull this off to what they want, in the studio? And dude, I was able to do it, man. I hiked up my big boy pants and dude, let's go.
So it's funny.
So-
It's funny because that album right there, I purchased it just before I moved to Nashville. Because it was
Yeah.
probably about 97, 96, 97, somewhere in that range. I'm not exactly sure where, but
Nice.
but anyways, I bought that and man, I played the daylights out of it. It was my worship album. It was my worship album, and
Great album.
and to be honest with you, even after that, I had no idea I'm sitting next to you, and it's probably been playing in my car right on my way to church. I never read I'll be honest, man, I never read the liner notes to find out who was playing what. My assumption was it's Ronnie Cates.
Right.
I didn't know.
Of course.
And,
Yeah.
but I thought that your first album for the longest time was God Fixation, and then
Oh,
realized like, holy crap, man. Like
Yeah.
this is an album that incredible album, incredible bass lines, that had that Petra sound. Like it
Yeah.
was so raw. But that Petra Praise sound that came from the first one.
Yeah.
Did you have a lot of flexibility? Did they let you kind of write your own bass lines and stuff, or did they have
Yeah.
some?
Yeah, no, they really did. Because they didn't know what to expect. Like
Right.
John and Dino and even Bob had never heard me play.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
so-
true.
So we were able
they,
to just like,
they never heard me. So it's like here's a few of the songs,
Yeah.
we're gonna start like just working on them and kind of rehearsing them, through, and let's just start playing some of these songs, that we want to see how they go, Petra style. And
Yeah.
Bob had an idea, but he didn't know because he just had these, rock guitar stuff, and then Dave Litchens, who was the guitar player from Portland, with us at that time. Yeah, dude, he was a really good player, and he was just laying down some really cool rock stuff, and I just slipped in with a grin, man.
that's
And dude, and we just kind of went at it, and it was like, yeah, that sounds great. All right, hey ladies, put us in red. Let's go.
So then,
And it was just, and it was great. And so we just started tracking. And we'd go to
So-
another song, man. We'd start working through it. We'd go to another song. They're like, all right, Chapin, you're not bad for a white boy. Let's go.
from Oregon.
Ancient of Days-
exactly,
Ancient
dude.
of
This crazy
Days,
white boy dude from friggin' the Northwest.
Exactly.
'Cause John and Dino always like, yeah, they always gave me a bad time, man. They were just like, they're like, you got some soul in you, bro.
Yeah.
And they're like, we like that. We like that. 'Cause,
Yeah.
not a lot of soul in Petra.
No,
Yeah, no,
no, I
exactly.
see that.
Not a lot
Now,
of soul in Petra.
Not a lot of
now,
soul, but
now
they
I've heard
liked
of,
what I brought to the table as far as that, and in my energy, even in the studio, they really enjoyed it, man.
Yeah, that's
now I've
cool.
heard
So
a lot
yeah,
of
that was my
stories
first
about
album.
that was your first album with Petra, and then
Yeah.
so we'll get into God's Fixation for a second in a minute, but with that album, gosh, Ancient of Days, you brought back some old ones
I
like
know.
Lord, I Lift Your Name on High, which is like, whoa, man, I've never heard this Petra style. You know,
I
I've
know.
heard it,
Yeah.
Maranatha
You heard it in
style.
church. It was like the most relevant song in church and in Harvest Crusades at that time.
Yeah.
So to play it was like, oh, this is a Petra version of the song.
Yeah.
Listen to
Yeah.
the
Dude,
harmonies.
Matt, at first I was just like, oh, really, man, this song is like so overdone.
Played out. Yeah.
Just so played out at this point, and we're gonna like
Yeah.
play it out some more.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
are y'all crazy? But dude, then when it got into what it is now, as far as
Yeah.
Petra Praise 2, then it was really
man.
cool, man. And
Well,
people loved it all over again.
And if you think of Petra Praise 1, like those songs were played out too. Like those
Dude,
were old songs when they came out. I mean, so you're like, okay, you know what? They're taking, at least at that time, like, wow, they're taking songs that I've sung in church for the last 5, 6, 7 years, at least from my memory. I was young. And it sounds new again. So it's almost like that's what Petra Praise 2 did with some of these songs. It just made it new and vibrant. Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same exact thing. Because there was, with Petra Praise 1, the rock cries out.
That's it.
Dude, it was just like, they just took old school kind of hymns, if you will.
Yeah.
And then
Pretty
just
much.
gave them this crazy rock edge, and dude, and it was wild to hear some stories about that, because the church wasn't ready yet for hard rock, guitars and drums and bass, on top of some very traditional hymns.
Yep.
Man,
Yeah.
and some people in the church didn't like that we were actually still playing those songs like we were playing them, you know?
Yeah.
It was crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It was wild. So here's some
But-
stories from those guys when they were doing that
Oh,
whole
yeah.
thing. Man, I was just like, wow.
I can imagine. You did what to my song, to that song, to this hymn? Like,
Yeah.
Exactly.
and then everyone tried to
It's
mimic
like
it in churches. Like, hey,
Yeah.
we want to do that. And
Brutal.
youth groups.
brutal.
But
So I
then
would
here's
love.
No.
then here's
we
you
got
though.
we got plenty of cassette tapes, dude. Demos of like
Yeah.
of like youth group kids trying to play these songs.
Oh, I'm sure.
And we would get them on our bus, dude, because they would give them to our road manager. And then in the evening, some of them, dude, we would get in and put them in. And bro, it was the most fantastic thing you guys have ever heard. I'll just leave it at that. Joe, Matt, you guys
that would've been
just
awesome.
just on the floor of the bus, laughing hysterically. Brilliant. Just absolutely brilliant. I just loved it, dude. Loved it to this day.
Little did they know.
Exactly.
They're going to pick us up. They're going to.
Totally. We're going to open up for
We're gonna
Petra
open
doing
up
their
for
same freaking song.
Exactly.
Maybe they'll let us on. Maybe they'll let us on. They'll let us on the bus and everything. That's hilarious.
Oh,
yeah.
oh boy. Joe, we've given some tapes out before.
Oh yeah,
That's
we've
funny.
done it. Yeah, we have. Hey, Stephen Curtis, here's a tape of ours. Hey,
Yeah.
Brian Duncan, here's a tape of ours.
Yep.
Yeah.
You bet,
know
dude.
what?
Yep.
Hey Matt, how many calls did we get?
I'm still waiting.
We'll leave it at there.
I'm
We'll just
still
leave it
waiting
there.
And you know what's
Yeah.
funny is Joe, you say that seasons come and go, and Lonnie's season, actually, he just continually had seasons. Your season never really began. You just came home.
So good. Let's talk about that, Matt. Let's talk about that.
I just
Because
gave up early.
I forget. I don't even know whatever you signed a what? Oh no! You just signed your receipt at McDonald's. Anyways,
Oh,
That's
no.
right. I did. I did.
That's all that ever happened with you. So
That's true.
speaking of this, because Matt and I went through this, a little bit of jealousy because I was going off doing some of the stuff that he always wanted to do and meeting people. Now you have Chad. Both of you guys are in Nashville, and I know we're getting late. I don't want to take up more time than you got tonight, man. But Chad, was there ever any rivalry there? Was he ever like, dude, like bring me along, like Louie's got to go, like was there ever anything like introduce me to somebody, anything like that?
No, there really wasn't, dude. We were so close growing up, and still are to this day. And we're working on new projects all the time. I fly out Sunday for Nashville. This Sunday we're working on another project. Next week,
Right
recording some stuff. But bro, we were because we're 5 years apart. I don't know how many years apart are you guys?
We're twins.
30 minutes.
Oh, you're twins.
We're twins.
Yeah.
Well,
Twin
Joe's
speak.
completely blurred out, so I could.
I know. Yeah,
couldn't
exactly.
If I wanted
Am I
to.
really? Am I really?
You,
What
you're
is
just
going
you're
on over
really
here?
blurry, but this is how I normally look at you, anyways. I mean,
Nice, Matt.
what movie is
You know
that
it.
where like they just the people blur out in the mirror because like is it Smile or something? And I was like, yeah,
Or
you have a
or it's a
distorted
middle
face.
finger.
Exactly.
Or yeah,
don't
somebody
even know
just
what you're
Joe's just flipping us off the whole
I
entire
know.
time, Matt.
I know. You look like you're
You know-
from Madame Tussauds.
You know what's
You're
going to be
just
funny?
melting. You have a
Is
meltdown.
you're going to look back on this and be like, I had no idea Joe looked anything like that. Like
He kind of looks like me, but not with a cool hat.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
that's
Let's
for
go with
sure.
that.
But we're 30 minutes
Uh,
apart, so we grew up
Okay.
together.
Gotcha. Well then, all right. Yeah. So then there's no correlation at all between you guys and Chad and myself. So,
No, not
so
when it comes to
5 years apart. Yeah, dude, we're 5 years apart. So that might have helped us because there wasn't so much competition.
Mm.
But as a rhythm section, we just kind of grew up, man, like playing together as little boys in our dad's garage, and we just built like this camaraderie together growing up in music and in church, and then deciding to move to Nashville. And so when I got on with Petra, Chad was just like, "Man, dude, that's killer. If it was the other way
Yeah.
around, I know you'd be stoked for me too, you know."
Very
Yeah.
And so it was just one of those things where it was just rad. But we always knew, I think, dude, in our heart, in our souls, dude, that we were going to play together at some point in
Yeah.
time because it was just too good.
Yeah.
Even as young boys, dude, when we'd play together, people would just stop and just watch the two of us play because we
That's
would write stuff, just bass and drums, just these crazy rhythms and lines and riffs. And
Yeah.
it would be so in sync with what we were doing, just the two of us as boys.
Yeah.
People would just sit there, man, and they would just watch us.
That's
it was
cool.
it was really, really cool. So we knew we were going to play together. We just didn't know when.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And so, yeah, it was coming to the end of my run with Petra, and we had already started writing with Michael and the three of us, and then Pete Stewart, who was with Grandma Train, who was with me on tour, on the Saltbox tour when I was working with Whiteheart, and him and I became fast friends even on that tour, dude. We were just like, yeah. So the four of us were just kind of getting together, and then Michael knew that DC Talk was taking a break.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, the three guys were going to go do their own thing, and Tait always wanted to be in just a big old freaking rock band, dude. Let's go, And so we did, and the songs that we were writing with that Empty record, man, were just big anthem rock songs, man. And we and from the get-go, dude, as soon as I came off the road, then with Petra, and Mike came off the road with Tait, we went in the studio and we signed our 2-record deal with Sony, and we went right in the studio, man.
Wow.
Right
Yeah.
on. Now I want to talk about that, but really quick, just to touch on God Fixation. That
Of
was
course.
that was kind of a different style of Petra. I remember
Yeah.
I picked it up and I put it in, and the first thing I thought was, this sounds like what's starting to come out now.
More
It
relevant
just
to the
kind of
time.
it developed some different legs to it.
Yep.
Gosh, man, that bass line. I remember hearing once God Fixation came on. I was like, holy crap, man! Listen to that bass line, like that,
Yeah.
dude. And I know you had a part in writing that song with John, right? With John Elefante. And then you also wrote if you had
to die for someone.
if you had to die for someone.
Another
I see
great
you on
song.
that one too.
That song.
But it was it was a great album, and I didn't get to see you perform from it. But it's definitely was a different take. How was that one? How was that album received on the road?
Yeah, good and then not so good.
Okay.
Just because, I mean, the Christian industry is kind of funny because there's a lot of grace there, to a certain
Yeah.
point when it comes to, music. They're like, all right, maybe that's not what I would have, chose for a Petra record,
Mm-hmm.
but
Yeah.
like, hey, it's still Petra and it's still John Schlitt.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Yep.
And
Yeah.
they enjoy it. And then of course, then you had people a younger generation that really loved it because it sounded a little more like Wallflowers. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Mhm.
And it had some more of that feel, but that was Bob Hartman's whole brainchild right from the get-go was more of that style. So and then the three new guys, myself, Pete Orta, and Kevin Brando, the three new guys, if you will, that
Yeah.
came in at that point to do that album. It was we just brought all this new energy to the table, and Bob loved it, man. He was like, "That's it, dude. That's gonna help take Petra a little bit farther down the
Yeah.
road." Now,
Yeah.
did it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I think it probably should have needed to stay in the whole butt rock era. You know what I'm saying, dude? And still lived there a little bit longer in the beyond belief, kind of focus,
Right.
on fire focus still,
Yeah.
to carry on some of that. But they were, man, produced John and Dino Elefante, Bob Hartman.
Yeah.
They were still like, nah, we've got to start evolving,
Yeah.
and it's gonna be that with Lonnie and with Kevin and with Pete. It's
Yeah.
this is where it is, and so we wrote a lot of stuff on that record,
Yeah.
and that's where it went, and so it was received well, and then not so well,
Yeah.
So
It was, I mean, a solid album, and like I said, I didn't get to see anything from it.
Yeah.
And but I have seen YouTube videos, of gosh, man, you guys toured overseas
lot.
quite a bit.
a lot,
Um,
dude.
A lot of
Crazy.
tours.
South America, Europe,
Yeah,
Yeah.
Asia, dude. Yeah, it was crazy, man.
yeah.
And
How
just
big
So-
Petra was overseas, dude. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
And I can imagine them singing those songs. You're like, what in the world? We're like on the other, everybody's asleep at home in Bend, Oregon and in Nashville.
exactly.
But it's like
Yep.
everybody's singing these songs, yelling them
That's
to
it.
you. And so
Yeah.
it's got to be pretty cool just to see really kind of how a song can just really circle the globe. I mean, that's really cool.
Matt, it was yeah. As just a little kid from Bend, a
Right.
small little town in the mountains in Oregon. Dude, that was just another level, bro, for
Yeah.
me to
Jeez.
watch people sing
Yeah.
sing those songs that I wrote and then we recorded.
Yep.
Especially even in countries where they didn't speak much English, and watching them
Right.
sing those songs in
Right.
English.
In English.
I was like, you don't even speak English. How do you know these songs in English right now?
I've
Real-
always been amazed at watching videos of that. I'm like what in the world?
It's
Like,
fantastic, dude.
like that's awesome. They're memorizing just they're memorizing. They don't even know what they're saying,
No,
maybe.
no
Maybe
clue.
they do.
They don't care.
but they don't. Yeah, they're just gonna scream it back at you.
Well, yeah,
And you have a,
dude. Yeah, exactly.
a translator up there, interpreting everything that John's saying, But then,
I
but then
I
they're all
saw that
singing the
exact
lyrics.
video the other night.
Like they're interpreting everything John Schlitt's saying. However, they're singing all the lyrics, so they understand to some degree. So
Yep, they sure
it's
do.
funny, Petra. I'm going to see them at the end of this month down in St. Louis. I've got front row seat tickets to go see
Nice.
them, and got the VIP ticket.
Bonus.
Yeah, I know.
You gonna give them a tape? You should give them a tape.
I should give them
Like,
a tape. Yeah,
You
I'm
should.
gonna do
Oh,
it.
not that one. This one.
Dude.
You should give them this tape of this song.
Shut up. Just put that
No?
thing away.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
see, look, Lonnie's laughing. They will love it on the road.
Dude, they will love it, Joe. Just do it. You got to do it, dude, and then let us know how it goes, because that's freaking amazing.
I know, exactly. So
Epic.
no, it's cool. They're still out there. They're playing 50
Yep.
years, and
Yeah.
It's insane.
and you have a hand in that that's going to carry on for the rest of eternity, that has been notched out in Christian music, and
Yeah.
and that's incredible. And honestly, I appreciate your your contribution to that. I really do.
Oh, thanks, Joe.
Because that's
Thank
a
you,
part
buddy.
that's a part of our Christian upbringing. That's a part of
Yeah.
carrying on our Christian journey,
Yeah.
And so we can still go back and we can still listen to these songs and remember where we were when we heard them.
Yep.
And so
Love
'cause
that.
Petra, definitely my favorite band, always has been.
Yep.
And Carmen, I like Carmen too, but Petra.
Who didn't love Carmen?
And
Come on.
Petra played with Carmen. They played one
Yeah.
song. See,
That's
so
true. yeah,
that's when-
yep.
Yeah.
It was it Addicted? No, that was DC Talk, Addicted to Jesus.
No, it was Addicted to Jesus. They did Our Turn Now.
no.
That's when Carmen
Our Turn Now.
realized
Our
that
Turn
he
Now.
needed to start having some relevant songs on his album with some relevant
Yep.
artists. It was like,
There it
I need
is.
DC Talk and I need Petra.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Need
Matt,
feeling
there
it,
it is, dude.
right?
Yep.
There it is, bro. That's exactly it. And we did a tour with Petra, or with Carmen, and we opened up for Carmen, and I
Okay.
was like, oh, because I grew up on Carmen stuff too, and I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I was loving this, right? Oh, I loved giving him a bad time about his tanning booth in his bus. Dude, it was
Yeah.
the best thing ever. It was the best thing ever, guys. I'm telling
Are
you
you
right now.
serious?
I got stories.
I
Now
thought
I understand
that
why.
was his real skin color. He's Italian.
Okay, dude,
He's
it's
he's
not.
Italian, but man, he really wanted to push that Italian thing. If you know what I'm saying.
Here's what I know.
I'm picking up what you're putting
I
down there.
yeah. I
Oh,
went to lunch with them a couple times after
nice.
church, and there would be women that would put notes.
Sorry,
Shut
Joe.
up.
I just had to. Go ahead.
There
Talk
would
about your
be
lunch.
there would
Going.
be notes put on his car of how God told this woman, that she's supposed to marry Carmen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he had a lot of
Oh
that,
yeah.
and we
It
opened
was
it
every
for.
show, Matt, Joe. It was every show.
Yeah.
Oh, so we played together in North Carolina, and at Carowinds, and
Yeah.
not with Petra, with Carmen and Rebecca St. James and some other bands,
You bet.
and I was just outside to go in backstage and talk to him, and there were some of the strangest people out there, some of the strangest people with little dolls. I just want to show Carmen my little
Yeah.
dolls that I made
Oh,
from
Yeah.
balls.
Revival into Land. I'm like, holy crap! And I remember I
You
went
bet.
back and I saw Carmen. I'm like, dude, you got some people outside. He's like, they follow me all over the place, and
Yep.
that was funny. But
That's it, dude.
anyways, that was him. But he was very tan. That's for
I want
sure.
to.
So
I want
I'm
to ask
telling you,
Lonnie. Yeah. I want to. The tanning bed in a bus. Like that's awesome.
dude.
gee,
It's fantastic.
yeah,
Having grown up on Petra and then doing double take
Yeah.
like that, the full acoustic. You were on double take as well.
Yeah.
Is that what's called
Yeah.
double take,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
That's what I won.
yep,
That's what I won the Grammy
The
for.
Grammy for
Was
that.
for Double Take. Yeah.
That was an amazing album.
yeah. It
Thank you.
was.
Like the
Yeah,
musically, the way I was just listening to it the other day. Creed, I was listening to that. I'm like, gosh, the way that you change the songs and the melodies. I don't know. Talk with us a little bit about that because that's taking like "Beat the System," for example, the song that
Yeah.
you grew up to and that
Yeah.
album,
Yeah.
and putting it now you're playing bass and kind of changing it up a little, making
Yeah.
it kind of acoustic version. But I'd love to hear
Yeah.
your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it was tough, dude, at first. I mean, because we were like, because Bob wanted to do this whole acoustic kind of thing like that, and man, we were just like, ah, dude, I don't know about that, because, dude, we just wanted to freaking rock, dude. That's all we wanted to do.
Yeah.
We were just like, wall of Marshalls, give me that. Let's just get at it. And Bob wanted to do this acoustic thing, man, and so we were like, well, all right, then if that's the way it's gonna be, then then so be it. Let's hear what you have, what ideas you have. So Bob brought a demo tape that he had just kind of like acoustically laid down all these songs, but just with an acoustic.
Mm,
And so we were like, you know what? We can make these really cool, actually.
Hmm.
This could be kind of fun. And that I think people will really enjoy this because they still want these songs, but
yeah,
yet they are wanting them in just maybe a little different way,
Hmm.
if you will.
hmm,
You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? So we're like, all right, like you're the boss, dude. Let's go at it and see what happens. But at first, man, we were like, nah, this is
Yeah.
ridiculous. We just want to freaking rock. We want to
yeah.
pull our pants down and just freaking rock.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah,
Don't
Bob was
stand
just
up.
like, all right, let's try this. And so we did. So we started rehearsing all these songs together, and it was coming out really, really cool, man. And we were like, all right, let's do it. Let's just dump it down, do it, get it out there, and then see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll never tour it,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
let's just have at it and see what happens. So we did, and yeah, it won us a Grammy award, which was crazy, dude.
I just
I
have to
tell
say,
you.
like kind of like what Joe said. I mean, I grew up on this music. I grew up on Petra. Hearing these songs again, kind of redone, that was
Yeah.
one of the coolest things for me. And
Huh.
and it was probably I could
Cool.
see it'd be a little scary going in, but when I picked it up, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm reliving some of these songs fresh in a new perspective, and
Yeah.
I started to go backwards again. Like, oh, this makes me want to listen to these albums again and the originals, and then compare them again. So it brought a lot back to life. So it's
Good.
kind of cool because I mean, for 50
Yeah.
years, you have a piece of not only the time, the three albums that you were on, but you were able to pull some of that other
Yeah.
stuff from back in the day that
That's
you
it, dude.
loved and
Yeah.
make that even more relevant for people that maybe didn't know Beat the System or
Right.
Beyond Belief or whatever
Yeah.
on fire, during that
Yeah.
time.
And I think that's what won for us with the public that didn't necessarily know Petra very well at this point in time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hadn't been involved in the history of what Petra was.
Yep.
Hearing that for a lot of people because the songs are just so good anyway.
Yeah.
And the music industry, dude, is so weird and crazy, but it all begins and ends with the song. If you have a good song, dude, it's gonna break through a lot of different things, right?
Yeah.
And those songs were written really, really well, lyrically, musically. They were really good songs. So to be able to do them in another way for people who hadn't heard them in the original way
Yeah.
was really cool, and
Yeah.
people like loving it.
Yeah.
They're like, my God, this song is really cool, and we're like, well, that song's been around for a long freaking time. Where
Yeah.
you been?
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
and
So
that
that was the fun part
Yeah.
about seeing new people come up to us and sharing their experience with Double Take.
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, and I was listening to it with family who maybe didn't like the older stuff, but they loved this.
Yeah.
Because it was like, okay, this is a little more milder. Maybe they liked more mild music.
Yeah.
Like my mother-in-law, for example, she's like, oh, I like this.
Yeah.
This is Petra.
Yeah.
It's like, what? This is Petra. So it's kind of cool because for those that maybe didn't like the hard rock anthem songs, this same songs, same words,
yeah.
just reinvented. So
Yeah,
nice
like my
job.
mom and dad, same thing.
Oh,
Matt.
yeah.
Same thing, because they didn't like the big rock stuff, but man, what we put together for that,
Yeah.
my mom and dad wore that CD out, dude.
Yeah. That's
They
cool.
wore Double Take out and just loved it, dude, and shared that with all their friends, and we're like, super. They were proud before, but man, that was a whole nother
That was
level.
a whole lot.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
At that point.
And the funny thing with that one is you went and you kind of did the same thing like you did with God Fixation. You were able to take those old songs and make them into a relevant time, because that was when a lot of the acoustic stuff, you got Jars of Clay,
Completely.
Yeah.
it was really getting into that
PFR.
mode. So PFR.
Waiting.
So when you went into some of this, bringing out the acoustic guitar, that all of a sudden took on new legs itself too. And I remember hearing
Completely.
some of the Double Take stuff on the radio, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. This song
Yeah.
is old, but
Yeah.
Exactly.
but anyways, but man, yeah, incredible album. So, man, we just keep going in time, and I don't want to do this. This is gonna end up being a two-parter, but
Good.
It might be.
And you're welcome, Joe.
it's gonna be. Thanks, man. Now I can listen. It's 2 hours ahead of time here. So what time is it right now? Yeah, we're looking at 11 o'clock.
Man, time's fun when you're having flies, boys.
Time-
Exactly.
Tell you that right now.
So when did you know, man? Like okay, you're in Petra. Like, when did that time come to an end? And then I know we've talked a little bit about Tait, and I want to touch on that, and then really close out with what you're doing now. But
Yeah.
when did you know that time was coming to an end?
Dude, when we saw music change, like we're talking Nine Inch Nails, Soundgarden,
Yeah.
Mhm.
Nirvana, Pearl Jam, you know what I'm saying? When we
Yep,
saw
yeah.
this like massive surge, bro, in that 90s and that early 90s, late 90s kind of deal. Dude,
Yeah.
when we started seeing that, I was like, oh yeah, dude, we're done. We're done. And this was like Motley Crue was going away, dude.
Yeah.
Def Leppard was going away. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It
Yep.
was just
Yeah.
like, oh my God, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Petra, same thing is going to happen with Petra.
Mhm.
And dude, I was in it to win it, man, for however long. But when Chad and I got together with Tait, and we just started throwing out this idea of us starting a band together, dude, it was like, no, that's it, man.
That's cool.
That's
Yeah.
it. And we'll just ride this out, kind of however long until this whole Tait thing maybe starts really taking off.
Yeah.
And dude, we spent a lot of time in the studio together, Chad and Tait and myself and Pete Stewart. And dude, the timing couldn't have been more amazing with kind of the downturn of Petra
Mhm.
and DC Talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also at
Yeah.
that point.
Yep.
And it was like, dude, it was a perfect moment for me to go, all right, sorry fellas, but I'm stepping down, starting a thing with Michael Tait and Chad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they were just like, dude, we get it, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And-
High five.
and-
Out we went, dude. So it was
and that
that
was
moment.
incredible.
That was great.
That Tait was incredible collaboration there, because I loved Grandma Train,
Yeah.
Right.
and DC Talk, and
Same.
then you got Petra. So I remember I picked up that first album and I bought it at the Christian bookstore. I moved home from Nashville and picked it up, and I was like, Tait's got a band. And of course, I look on the back and I'm like, Lonnie's and Tait. Like, what the heck is going on? I can't get away from this guy. I don't even.
You
Anyways,
can't, dude. You
I'm
can't
like,
get away from me, bro.
He's involved
We
in
passed the
everything.
communion plate, and now he's on the back.
I don't know what's
Exactly,
going on here. So But the collaboration on that was just incredible, and that one got played on the radio a lot. And I remember the first time I heard a song. Oh gosh, I can't even think of the name of the song off the top of my head. But anyways, if you wanted to say that, I can't even think of it. But I was like, I know. Look at me. I know exactly what I'm talking about. But I know. I can do stuff, just not all stuff.
Just not all stuff. You can't do hard things.
I can't do hard things like I thought I can do. Lost for Words. That was the name of the song. Lost for Words.
Nice
That was
job,
the first song I ever heard.
You had a Lost for Words.
Pulled it up.
How did you miss that? You literally couldn't find the words. That was the name of the song.
Literally. Listen,
Idiot.
Matt, I did that on purpose. That was just for you.
Yeah.
You
Very good
thought,
show.
You yeah, I
Very
know.
good show.
I'll take
So
my
you're
bow.
very committed. I appreciate your commitment to not doing well.
That song. I'm gonna stop there.
Okay,
Anyway, I shouldn't, but I
You
will.
should.
Yeah.
But that song, I was like, whoa, okay, that's not DC Talk. You know, it's like the first thing you think is, okay, maybe DC Talk came out back with another album or something like that, and I'm like, it's not DC Talk, and that's when I picked up the album and saw that, and
Yeah.
so what was it like touring with those guys? You know, obviously your brother, but you know, what was that like?
Well, dude, we had just become fast friends too with Michael and with Pete. Because I had known Pete then when I was, my first gig with Whiteheart, setting up all their stuff,
Yeah.
So I knew Pete before I even knew Mike, and then Chad was good friends with Michael and was Michael's roommate for the longest time, and so whenever I'd come off the road, my brother and I were always hanging out, so I was hanging out at Mike's house all the time. So we had become really fast friends, dude, for good Lord, probably good 4 years before we even started writing together or doing any of that whatsoever. So when it came time, dude, that was super easy, man. And we just loved each other, and we were all preachers' kids, and so that's why we're so screwed up. And it was it was just amazing. And the camaraderie between all of us, it was a beautiful thing, from the Northwest roots with Pete being from Seattle. And Chad and myself, of course, and then this whole rock thing that we just wanted to just share with the planet, man, that was coming out of us was just absolutely beautiful, dude. So we couldn't wait to get on the road. After we tracked the Empty record, my gosh, dude, we could not wait to get on the road and
play
to
that
record.
I can imagine.
It was just behemoth, man. It was just fantastic.
Well, and it's new too.
Man.
You're not joining Petra with fans that have been around for years. This is like
we're building it,
you're
man.
building it from the ground up, and so
Yep.
it's got to be fun because it's a different feel. I'm sure your blood and tears and time.
Completely. Yeah, and it was young. It was, dude, we were all younger, I mean, John and Louie were old as dirt,
Yeah.
Back then doing it. And
John's
John
still
freaking
doing it.
loved
That's-
him, but, it's like Chad just brought this energy, man, that was just insane. He's one of the most amazing drummers on the planet.
Oh, that's
Not just because he's my brother, but because he's just
That's
that
awesome.
freaking good, dude. It's insane. It's insane to watch him play. So
Oh.
that alone, man, people just lose their freaking minds
Yeah.
over that alone, watching Chad play the drums, And then it was just 100 miles an hour, dude, just balls to the wall with Tait, and we just had a blast. And then when we did Lose This Life record, then we brought in Mark Heimerman to produce that record, because Michael and Pete produced the Empty record. We all kind of produced it ourselves and kept it in-house.
okay.
But we wanted to branch out and pulled in Mark Heimerman, who did all the DC Talk stuff. Pulled him out,
I
so
know
that's
that name.
why it sounds a lot more like DC Talk, if you will, as opposed to this big rock wall of guitars,
Yeah.
So
Right.
it was a little bit of a departure, but yeah, man, we loved it. And writing for that record also was just amazing. And then touring that album, dude, was just so much fun, because now we had this plethora of music that we've brought together. And dude, it was just balls to the wall. We had a ball. Man.
That's
It was
gotta be fun.
fantastic.
Plus,
That sounds fun.
to your point, even touring off stage had been fun too, because I mean,
dude.
because you're with your brother, you're with friends, you're younger,
Yeah.
so it's a different.
Exactly.
It's like,
Yeah, dude.
oh, it's
There
not
was-
bedtime. No, it's time for us
Nope.
to go. Yeah, we're not going to bed yet.
Nope. No, we're heading out,
Yeah,
dude.
exactly.
Yeah, we're heading out. We're gonna go have a good time, man.
Exactly.
So, yeah, totally.
Man, that's fun. Now you guys, so you did 2 albums. You went from there. How did you end up back in Oregon?
Yeah, so after we toured the Lose This Life record, whatever, I got married, and I
Okay.
came off the road for a little bit because we were kind of even in a hiatus of what we're gonna do. Are we gonna sign again, figure out who we're gonna sign with at this point? But then I got married, moved to LA, and was doing some work in LA. I lived in LA for about 5 years
Okay.
after that. But Bend has always been my home, man. I'm an Oregon boy, dude. I'm a Northwest kid, and I just love the mountains. I love the ocean, and
Yeah.
I missed it, and I just loved being up in the pines, dude. So
Mm.
so yeah, it just came time where I was gonna move back to Bend, and dude, the timing was perfect, and I did, and moved back here, and it's just been awesome. It's just this place is just so magical. If you've never been to Central Oregon before, Joe, it's just magical. It
We
is
took
just
No,
something
my family and I took an RV trip through Oregon last year, and
nice.
it was amazing, just up and
Yeah,
down the coast. Beautiful,
yeah.
nice.
beautiful.
Yep,
I've been to
yep.
Portland, Eugene. I've been to those areas.
Yeah, it's just different, man, because we get 300 days of sunshine here, man.
Yeah, yeah.
300 days a year of sunshine,
I don't get that in Iowa.
and
You
people are
know,
just like, "What?"
no, I don't get that in Seattle either.
Yeah, no. It either sunshines or it snows,
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
just magical. The place is crazy,
yeah.
because we're right at the base of the Cascade Mountains that run up from Northern California up in the middle of Oregon, up into Washington and British Columbia, and Bend sits just on the east side of those mountains as they run straight up north. So all those storms come in, they hold up into the mountains that come off the
Oh,
coast. So Portland, Eugene, they get 300 days of rain a
They
year,
sure do.
yeah.
where we get 300 days of sunshine a year.
Yeah,
I
You know,
gotcha. I see.
so
So that's
it's
I got to go to the other side of the
magical.
mountain. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
going to the wrong
that's
side of
it,
the
dude.
mountain.
you're going to the wrong
Yeah,
side of the
So
mountain.
that's it.
are you
So
still in touch? Are you still in touch with all these guys?
yeah,
From your past. You still
yeah,
talk to them and
sure
hang
am.
out with
Like
them,
Tate
or
and I will still talk about every month, every couple months.
Nice.
Tate and I will
That's
still
cool.
chat. Yeah, it's awesome, man. But yeah, dude, I moved when I moved back to Bend. Me and some buddies I'd known for a long time. We started a cover band.
Oh, really?
Um,
oh,
we
fun.
started a cover band, dude, that would do a lot of corporate stuff because we got a couple calls from Nike and Microsoft, and we started doing
Wow,
some of that, dude, and it just snowballed, and we do about 75 shows a year.
Wow.
really?
Yeah, as a cover band, we do a lot of stuff for Nike and Microsoft. We were just up in Seattle this
Wow.
weekend,
Oh,
and we had shows up there in Seattle on a Saturday
really?
of Labor Day. Yeah, and it's crazy.
That's
So,
cool.
Wow.
but my brother and I, we've got a band that we've started together, based out of Nashville, and it's with a gal. Her name's Kylie Dean. She was with Madonna for about 10 years,
Okay.
and
Oh,
then with Britney Spears for about 5 years,
Okay.
doing
wow.
background vocals for
Nice.
them. And she's just insane, dude. She's just one of those vocalist, one of those talents that's only God given. It's like Schlitt,
Mm,
Yeah.
you know, John's
yeah.
vocals, dude. That's just God given. You can't teach that.
No. No.
Right.
That stuff's just God given, man.
Yep.
She's one of those people, and she's just great friends of ours. And so we decided one night, like, just to start writing, Chad and myself and Kylie. And dude, it just has gone crazy, man.
That's
We
so
just
cool.
in that bit. So I fly out for Nashville on Saturday or Sunday. This Sunday, we're tracking a bunch of music over the week. Yeah, this next week.
And
Wow.
what's
So
that called again?
so it's called Chapin Dean.
Chapin Dean.
Chapin
So her
Dean.
name's Kylie Dean, and then
Okay.
Chad and I,
Oh,
Chapin
Yeah.
brothers. So it's called Chapin Dean.
nice.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, and
really
it's
cool.
more of a rock. It's more country rock
Okay.
kind of stuff. So it's like Hardy meets Keith Urban,
Okay.
um, meets Janis Joplin.
Oh,
You
wow.
know,
Oh, wow.
so
That
this
sounds cool.
stuff's coming out really, really cool, dude. But with this country flair, man, that I think a lot of it is the gospel
Hmm.
part of it of Chad and me too, that comes out of
Yeah.
some of this stuff that we write, and
Right.
that will lean even that way a little bit. So
Yeah.
yeah, dude, I can't wait for you guys to hear some stuff that's coming out of Chapin Dean.
Yeah. I'm
It's
looking
really
Oh,
forward to
soon.
that.
So
That's really
yeah,
cool.
man.
You're
Well,
going out to record and still doing
yeah.
that and stuff too. So
It's brand new,
yeah.
dude. It's brand new, and we're so super stoked about it. But it's gonna dude, it's gonna take over the planet, man. It's insane what's happening. So we're stoked.
That's awesome.
Right on.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because you can do a lot of this now because you can fly in, fly out. A lot of that stuff wasn't as available, I mean, back in the day. You go back to the 90s when you moved to Nashville, and now it's just so versatile. You can literally write, between 4 different states, depending on who's in the band, and be able to collaborate and then do it. So it's cool how that is now, versus what it was before. But, man, that's cool. So when do you guys think that album will be out?
So we'll probably drop it at the beginning of next year.
Cool.
Looking at dropping it in January.
Nice.
So,
Right on.
Awesome.
Yep.
Maybe
So
you
that
have to
means
come
we're
it'll
gonna
back
probably
have
out.
to
just
have
be
you.
an EP.
You have to come
What's
back
that?
out and
Sorry.
we'll review it.
Dude, I like it.
That would be
Done.
fun.
Dude, it'd be awesome. Would love that. Anytime.
That would be fun.
Wow.
No, I'm
Yeah.
looking forward
So-
to hearing it. Yeah.
Good.
So one
Good, good, good. I
last
love that.
question. One
Talk to
last
me.
question before we sign off. Does Bob Hartman wear a toupee?
And did Ronnie Cates.
Okay, we're just gonna leave it right there, I guess.
We were talking.
I got a great story. You can't tell Louis this.
Okay.
This is
Okay,
the
I
first
won't
time
Are we gonna cut
this
this
is the
out?
first time I found out. Don't tell anybody. I will find
right.
both of you, hunt you down.
So we're gonna have to cut this portion out. We'll hear it, but we'll have to cut it out.
Just
So
we'll hit the
after,
censor button.
dude, after a we had a day off in Las Vegas after a run, and we had a show. Next day we're at the pool, and we're at the Bellagio at the pool, and Louis just happens to like bend over by the pool, to pick something up, and I push him in the pool. He comes up out of the water, dude. This thing goes like this. And stands up like a freaking cockatoo, dude. And I was like, what the? I was looking around, and I'm like, Lou, and he's just like, what? And he's like, oh my god, dude. And he's, you guys, I had no idea. You guys, I was freaking out. I was like, Lou, you have a toupee?
It was always so. Well, it was always the same.
Dude,
I guess what
always the
makes
same.
sense.
Well, I mean, and it ran into the Petra family because it was Bob and Ronnie too.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
You didn't hear that from me.
No, I didn't. But if you look at just the Beyond Belief album,
it's kind of obvious.
the Beyond Belief album's like, wow, Bob and Ronnie both have the same hair.
Yeah,
Like it's
same
almost
hair.
they went to the same place. I'll take
Same
one of.
guy.
I'll take the number 5. Actually, I'll
Let's
take
go.
the number 5 too.
Let's go
Yeah,
back.
but can you dye it a little more dark than that guy's? Because I don't want to.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was the
What?
Squirrel Store, is what it was. We always give him that time. The Squirrel Store. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you went back to beat the system and stuff, and you're like, no hair, hair,
I know.
no hair, hair.
No hair,
Like,
don't care.
What happened? Yeah,
how the heck
exactly.
did this happen? Yeah, all of a sudden we got hair. So anyway,
I love it,
anyways.
fellas. Thank you so much for letting me be on. I appreciate it, man. And anytime you need me to come on, you let me know.
This was an honor.
Oh,
You have
man.
no idea, Lonnie. Big fan. It was so nice being able to meet you, and yeah, thanks for
too,
taking the time. Like, really appreciate it.
My pleasure, fellas. Love you guys. You guys are amazing.
Seriously,
Thank you.
man, love you too, man. And
Thank you.
so, anyways, we'll go ahead and we'll sign off here. So, anyways, you've been watching Twin Speak with Lonnie Chapin. Ta-da!
And Joe.
Matt and Joe. Well, yeah, but I guess I'm blurry to most people. And
You are
Matt,
blurry.
So,
You've been sounding a little
anyways,
early.
but anyways, God bless you, Lonnie. Seriously, good seeing you again
Thanks,
after all
fellas.
these years, and good to see what God's doing in your life and has done in your life and continues to do. So, anyways,
Thanks, guys.
God bless everybody. We'll see you all again soon. Thank you.
God bless. Thanks, everyone. Bye.